afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beardychiel's Knitting Banter, episode 25. And this time I've given it the title Beanies, Brioche and Baby Knits, because there's been quite a lot of that happening in the last few days. So let's start off with the traditional welcome. Hello. Welcome to Beardychiel's Knitting Banter. My name is John Glenn and I host the show. It is Wednesday, Thursday the 25th of January, Robert Burns Day, and I suppose I should have started with a poem. In fact, I may yet throw one in. What have I got for you today? Well, first of all, a welcome to all those regular subscribers who are back and hopefully watching this podcast as it goes out. It's wonderful to have you with us. For anyone who's watching for the first time, welcome to Beardychiel's Knitting Banter. I hope you thoroughly enjoy the experience and it makes you decide you've liked it so much you want to give us a big thumbs up and you want to hit the subscribe button, which is down below. And join us. If not, there will be a subscribe button will pop up in the last 10 seconds or so of the video. You can click on there. For those of you who know me, my name is John Glenn. I'm better known in the knitting world as Beardychiel, and the places you'll find me as Beardychiel will appear on screen as I'm blathering to you. So you'll find me on Instagram, Ravelry, Facebook, Twitter, here on YouTube. If you're looking for me in email, you'll get me on beardychiel@gmail.com. And if you're looking for my website, it's www.beardychiel.uk. So that's the contact information. One of the traditional I'm a great man for pausing and saying because my mind goes blank, but hey, that's just an age thing. The content today is quite a mixed bag of bits and pieces. I have some information on works in progress from the comfy armchair, back to normal. I have some finished objects. I have some stash enhancement. I have what I'm going to call Beardychiel's moral dilemma. I've got some information on the Beardychiel Rhodes Retreat 2018. I have some information on what I'll be doing at Edinburgh Yarn Fest in terms of going along and shopping and hanging around and meeting folk. And some information on this year's Perth Festival of Yarn 2018. And of course, Santa's giveaway from just before Christmas closed on the 14th. And the prize winners for that have been chosen, and those results will come out towards the end of this particular podcast. So that's what's in store for you today. It's a relatively overcast day here in Caithness. Nothing too warm. I'm sitting here out in the conservatory and I've actually had to put a heater on because it is pretty chilly. It's dull and overcast, so I've got some LED lights on above me. I've got some on in front of me over here for a little bit of fill-in light. I've got a lamp on beside me. But it looks reasonable on screen, so hopefully that'll be fine. So where are we going to start today? Well, why don't we nip over to the comfy armchair and have a look at what's happening in works in progress? There are 3 or 4 of them. I hope I don't waffle on for too long. I'll try and edit out bits of the waffle if I think it's too long. I know there are 1 or 2 pregnant pauses where I just forgot what I was saying. So don't worry, I'll see you back here in a few minutes. Bye. Well, hello folks, welcome to Works in Progress, and we are starting with a Brioche beanie in Hayfield Spirit, shade 0400 lot 1704. This was the Christmas present, a Christmas present from Alistair and Louise, which I'll talk about later in finished objects, and this is Brioche beanie number 2. There was a Brioche beanie number 1, and it's a slightly larger size than this, but I'm afraid grandson number 3, Leo, reckoned he really liked it, so he would just take it home with him, which consequently left me with that hat, which I'd originally planned to knit for myself. So I decided I would create this additional pattern and knit it in his size for him. So we're just making it up as we go along, some sort of tulipy type shapes, and we've got navy blue and royal blue in the background. And we've got this acrylic and wool blend in the front, and it'll be perfectly cosy and fine for them. What else can I say about it? It's the second of this sort of colour combination. The first one was purple and the multicoloured. And I'll swap them over later today when I finish this one, and that'll give him a hat the right size, and I'll get the other one back. It's a tubular cast on at the bottom, 2 rows of double knitting to establish it before you swap into the 2-colour brioche. And that's basically it. Not much else I can tell you about it. There's no fixed pattern. As I say, it's coming out the top of my head as I'm knitting it. And it's been good fun so far. So I'm going to leave you there and pass you on to the next project. Welcome back to Works in Progress, folks. And here we are with Work in Progress number 2. And Work in Progress number 2 today is a brioche matinee jacket for a baby, obviously. And it's single colour brioche, worked in the round, which means that you have to knit 2 passes to complete a single round. You can see that I'm at one of the raglan increases here, so it's a 1 to 3 increase that's going in every 4th round at the moment. You can see quite clearly increase round 1, 2, 3, and the 4th one is when the next increase happens. And I don't know if you can see, but I'm working with 2 colours here, a peach and a lemon, and that'll continue down through the yoke, and it'll stop at the armhole, and from the armhole to the bottom it will be in... Oh, that was clever. Get that back in there. From the armhole to the yoke, from the yoke to the waistband will be entirely lemon. So it's just a couple of stripes at the top just to introduce both colours, and then a peach section and then a lemon section. Fairly neutral. Does this have a potential recipient? Yes, it does. This could go either to Emily, or it could go to the new addition to the family, Grace, who is in Glasgow. And I know that Janet has some things that she's going to be sending south to her new great niece, so this might just get added to that particular parcel. Magic loop, because I have a needle which is an awful lot bigger, a circular needle which is an awful lot longer than I actually require for this project. It's an Addy, yeah, I'm sure it's an Addy 3.5mm needle. It's definitely not Knit Pro, and it's definitely not higher. So that's fine. And I'm on the second pass of around here. Ticking over quite nicely, taking on its shape well. Sleeves at either end. Oops, I just hope no stitches run off there. Neckline's there, and I say it's a cardigan, but I'm knitting it in the round, so that tells you that at some point this is going to have to be steeked. Yes, I am not a great fan of steeking, but I decided I've never steeked a piece of brioche work. It's going to be interesting to see how it works. Also gives me an opportunity to fit in a nice simple front band. So as I say, I've never done this, but never steeked a piece of brioche knitting before, so that'll be a nice experiment when the time comes. So I look forward to letting you see that. So this is me, brioche matinee jacket. Oh, pardon me. Ticking over quite nicely. And there we go. You can actually, with that end, you can see the shape starting to build up quite nicely. Now I've arranged that when you look at this, between the sleeves there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 verticals on that side, and between the sleeves on this side there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's an extra one on the other side, and the reason for that is between number 3 and number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is where I plan to cut my steek. So that's where the planned centre is going to be, and hopefully it all works out nicely. I'll maybe come back and cut the steek live in another podcast. So for this one, for the time being, cheery bye, back in a sec. Welcome back, folks, and we're at whip number 3. This isn't the one that I had planned as number 3. Number 3 is in a project bag that's out of reach at the moment, so while I've got the camera in the go, we'll simply work on this one. And this is the Pentland Firth shawl prototype. And what can I say about it? I'm on the central panel section, and the central panel section is I can only describe it as a sort of shield or lozenge shape between two curved wings, and I explained in the last podcast the choice of yarn because of the colours being things which appear in the Caithness coastline, the dark blue of the Starry Night, the sort of sandy brown of the local cliffs and beaches, the whites and greys and the pale blues of the whites, greys, pale blues of the skies in Caithness. And as I said, I would create different vertical textured panels. I've done that with versions of moss stitches and broken ribs, and broken it up vertically with simple cables, just to make it an interesting set of shapes. And it's alright so far. It's a nice straightforward piece to work on. There's nothing in it which is so horrendous that you wouldn't want to be working on it, I have to say. And because a lot of it is nice simple rib, I feel a bit of a fraud in this section because there's no lace work in the back panel. Now that's quite intentional. I decided I would create the back panel without lace work because I had saved that for the spume, the sort of the bubbles on the tops of big waves, and this is, I suppose I could have used it to represent clouds as well, but I just didn't think it was appropriate. I thought we can pass on that. Now we're at one of the cable sections. Because they're just single cables, I'm not bothering with cable needle, they're easy enough to knit. Just into one, into the other, and let them twist naturally. And to get the other one into the back of the back stitch, into the front of the first stitch, and that'll automatically twist out the way for me to give me what I want for that one. And that's keeping it nice and straightforward for me so far. Don't see why it needs to be any more complicated than that. This is a nice simple single moss stitch or seed stitch section right in the middle. And so we've had broken rib, double moss, single moss. I can't remember what you would call the next one. But all in all, it's coming on nicely. At the end of this panel, we'll pull these needles through a little and let you see how the rest of the prototype's looking so far. I quite like these blues and greys. Now, I had knitted this entire section using a different version of this pattern. I did try something else, and when I knitted it and looked at it, I just did not like it at all. So I'm afraid it was ripped out back to where it started roughly, and I'm just re-knitting it. And people seem to think I'm a wee bit crazy because they're saying, you know, you get questions like, how can you possibly remember all of that pattern? Like a lot of knitters, you learn to read patterns. So here we go. This is a 2 meter cable, so there's plenty of length here for me to play with. And you can see that the shape expands. It's quite a width so far, and that comes on top of that large asymmetric curved wing, which has the wave motifs built into it. There'll be another wing, the same size, on the other side of this central landmass piece. So by the time we finish, we are going to have one big, long, cosy wraparound. Now you see that continues to dip down the way, just as that comes out and curves to make that sort of shield bottom lozenge shape. And I'm hoping it's going to work out well, but you'll see over the next week or so. Having ripped it out and re-knitting it, this has taken a wee bit longer than anticipated. This yarn is really nice when it's knitted up though. It feels wonderful. It's going to be lovely and cosy when it's on, and you'll know from the last podcast that this is Drop's Big Delight, and it's been a delight to work with so far. Must be coming up to another white bit. Right, with that I'm going to go and grab my other project bag, and we'll let you see the next work in progress. Next work in progress. This is yarn that was selected by Ian. You know Ian, the eponymous grandson, who said to me, "Granda, I want a hat. And I want a cosy hat." So I said, "Yeah, I'll knit you a cosy hat, son." Knitted with an invisible cast on at the top to give me this holeless, seamless top, and then just 2x2 rib shared out all the way down. Some 2x1 appearing in places as the increases went in, and it grew. We're out at the right width now, so we're just going to work our way down. And the thing that's unusual about this is Ian chose this yarn himself the last time we were at King Craig Fabrics in Brora. He really wanted this, so he picked that, and I already had this lamb's wool sitting in the house, so we paired the two up to make something that was thick enough to give him exactly what he wanted as a cosy balaclava hat. So this isn't going to be just a single piece garment that is just a woolly bobble hat or a bobble hat with an edge. This is going to end up a good 12, 18 inches long with a massive balaclava opening in it, and that should give him a hat with a brim that folds up, or the balaclava, whichever he fancies. It's being knitted on 3.5mm needles, just to make it a wee bit denser. I think the 3.5s, are they? It's a pair of Knit Pro Zings, I'm sure. I think it's a pair of Zings. It looks like a pair of Zings. Feels like a pair of Zings. And by heavens, it knits like a pair of Zings. So, a nice, straightforward hat. Just simple rib. Nothing too arduous. Nothing too complex. Is there a pattern for it? No. It's just coming out the top of my head. This is what he fancied. So we will just put it together for him. He wants a slit in it, so we'll make him a hole opening. What else can I tell you about this one? I think that's it really. It's just one of those things. I pick it up every now and again, knit a couple of rows, stick it away again. Is he in a great hurry for it? Not particularly. Are there other things that I should be finishing first? Yes, there are. Has there been any prevaricating knitting? Yes, there has been. Things that have been stuck in just to be a quick instant project, knit for a couple of hours, get a finished object and enjoy it. So Ian's woolly hat, Hataclava I think we'll call it, half hat, half balaclava, and that's coming on nicely, and it's in my Star Trek bag, which once again I will remind you has come from Little Bee Accessories in Greenock. Kirsty Bissett, a wonderful knitter and bag manufacturer. If you see Kirsty out there, buy from her, she's a lovely person. That finishes that one. And then we're back onto the Marvel bag, another one of Kirsty's. And in the Marvel bag we have some Haya Sharps. And on the Haya Sharps in natural cream lamb's wool, we have a baby shawl. A circular vintage baby shawl. I did show this central panel on Instagram the other day, and folks seemed to quite enjoy it. It has been great fun to work on. I have really enjoyed it, and it's just such a traditional pattern. I remember it being knitted numerous times when I was a little kid, and because of that, and because it was one which my grandmother enjoyed knitting, it was one of the shawl patterns. Hang on to do a quick count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I know where I am in the pattern. It made perfect sense that this was a pattern that I would offer to my nephew Thomas and his partner as a potential shawl pattern for their prospective baby. Ellie is definitely expecting a wee one, and we are hoping. Let's just knit a third one. 1, 2, 3, yes. Let's see. Oh, this is the halfway point, yeah, so that's fine. Let's keep going. One. Yeah, so this should end up theoretically about, excuse me, three. Of course, it has to come right in the middle of a set of decreases. That makes perfect sense. 4. This needs to be ready in a couple of months' time, so there's no mad rush to finish it. So I'm just doing a little bit. I need 16 repeats of this current feather and fan, or shell and feather and fan pattern, or shell pattern, whatever you want to call it. I've heard it called different things at different times by different people. And the needles I'm using are higher sharps, but they're shorts. When I ordered this set of needles, or when I was offered this set of needles at Christmas, I specifically asked Janet to order the short ones for me, because I wanted to give them a try, especially for the tighter cord sizes. I thought it would be quite interesting to see how they work out. Now let's have a look, see how we got on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. God, it's amazing I can count to 6. That's the joys of this pattern. 6 increases, 6 decreases, 6 increases, 6 decreases. It's just so straightforward. Now, there's 2 versions of this pattern in the house somewhere. The one I'm working from is from about, it's a reprint from about 2008 of a Patton's P&B vintage shawl, pattern book number 8008. A traditional circular shawl. Just looking for the image. Of course, I've got it turned outside in. There's an old black and white version of this sitting around somewhere, and that's going to be absolutely fine. That says 50-inch diameter. At the end of this feather and fan, before that final edge goes on, there will be another lace pattern added to take it up by another 4 or 5 inches in radius, which would be 10 inches in diameter, making it nearer to sort of 60 inches, which I think is going to be a slightly better size for working with. And that's that for the time being. Hiya folks, and we are back, and look, the next work in progress is a piece of crochet. Yep. And today we are working on another baby project. This is a cot or pram blanket using Tunisian entrelac and just simple Tunisian crochet. No fancy stitch work, just changing colours every round. And it's a nice, simple way of creating a cosy textured, easy wash blanket for a baby. it's one I've used before. You've seen, many of you will have seen way back round about episode 2, episode 1 or 2. You would have seen the Minecraft blanket, which uses up scrap yarn. So any scrap yarn using this same technique, just a 5-stitch square. Oh, missed one there. Through 2, and then we'll just pick up again. So let's pick up the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 from the side, 6, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you very quickly start to build up this lovely checkerboard pattern. It's a nice way to work because I have this one actually sitting beside my bed normally, and when I go to bed at night I do a few squares just before I go to sleep. And the baby it's for is not due for another 6 to 10 weeks, so there's plenty of time to finish this off, give it a nice edging. I don't know whether we have a wee boy or a wee girl arriving to this friend, or this pair of friends who I've known for a long time, so I thought we'll go with a fairly neutral lemon and white blanket. I thought that would make for a nice simple time, and I have to say this type of blanket is so relaxing to work on. I'll just finish this off. Just slip through. It's almost like a chain along the top edge here to finish it off. That last corner. Now this is taken to a corner, and I need to turn that corner. So in order to turn the corner, I'm going to have to make an edge. So I'm going to make an edge just by doing some chain. So I'll just add 6 chain. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that 6th one is to allow me to turn the corner, and I'm going to go back into the bump on the 5th one, and I'm going to lift a loop. So that's 1, 2, get in there, 3, and there's number 4, and there's number 5, and then we have the first of those, and there we are. We've turned the corner, and we can now work along this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there we are, as if it was the start of another square, and I can quite happily work my way along here.
Is this what you were looking for?
I really, as I say, I really enjoy this. I find it quite cathartic. This is double knitting yarn. It's a 5mm crochet hook that I'm working with. Just a simple aluminium crochet hook. Because I'm only working with 5 stitches, I'm not working like a massive Tunisian crochet blanket. I've just realised the TV's running in the background. Just let me pause that. That was clever. Imagine leaving that running in the background when I'm recording. That's a bit remiss of me. Right. Sorry, I'm watching the TV series Outsiders. I don't know if anyone's seen it on Netflix. It's about a set of US mountain men vying against the coal company who want to kick them off their mountain so that they can mine for coal. And it's quite good fun. Visions of a lifestyle long departed for many and still being enjoyed by a few in some parts of the US.
You wonder how much of it is based on possible reality in some areas. I don't know. I don't know the US that well. But hey, it's a TV show, it's entertaining. And while I'm sitting knitting away of an afternoon, it's nice to have some background noise if I'm not chatting to somebody online. And when I was eating lunch earlier, I had stuck the TV on for some background noise. So that's happening. And theoretically, I should also have a little bit of work in progress and some spinning footage somewhere. If I can remember where I put it, which memory card it's on. If not, I might just re-record it. That may be possible.
Welcome back from Works in Progress. I hope you enjoyed that. I did. Since I've not had a break, I'm going to have a quick drink. And I am going to go from there into... Oh, that's a good question. What am I going to go into first? What do you fancy? Stash enhancement or finished objects? Stash enhancement. That would be fun. Stash enhancement, the first bit is a bit which you have already seen. In Works in Progress, you saw the vintage shawl. And the vintage shawl was being knitted in this. This is a natural shade, undyed cream lamb's wool. It's stranded as a 2-ply, so it's fairly fine. I think that it's quite thick as 2-plies go. It's probably going to be a 3-ply. What I would have called a 3-ply weight for knitting in terms of old traditional Scots wool weights. It's really nice. It was just about £3 for 100 grams from King Craig Fabrics. I was down in Brioche a couple of weeks ago and did some shopping. That's not what I went for, I have to say, but when I saw it and I knew I had another baby to knit for, I thought, I'm not going to see lamb's wool in that price again for a while. So I brought 300 grams back with me. I don't think I'm going to need 300 grams for that entire shawl. It's really, really quite feathery. So that is really nice. It's squishy, it's soft. They had quite a lot in stock. So I dare say if you visit their eBay shop or Etsy shop, or just hit their website, you'll find a link there. And I have to say, good value for money at the moment. Thoroughly enjoyed picking that up. So that was piece of stash enhancement number 1. Stash enhancement number 2 was this bag, bought at the same time. And this is lamb's wool and silk. It's cream, pale grey and pale beige. It's a fairly neutral shade. And I've picked up 830 grams of this, and that 830 grams is lamb's wool, 80% lamb's wool, 20% silk. And this is for the reknit of the Pentland Firth shawl. So I'd said in Works in Progress that although I was happy with the shawl, I was thinking that the texture, the colours weren't doing what I'd wanted from that initial purchase of Arden weight yarn. So I'm going to run a couple of strands of this together to give me a similar effect in terms of weight. I might even come down a needle size and make the overall width of the shawl just slightly smaller. But the colour and the fabric mix on this was just so nice, I couldn't resist it. Doesn't matter where I put it, it feels really, really... The big bushy beard can't feel a blasted thing, although my cheeks are still pretty sensitive. Inner arm feels good. This is going to be nice. It's going to be nice when it's knitted up. It's really really squidgy, really soft. Again, I don't know if they'll have any of this left at Kincraig. Janet spotted this sitting on a shelf, and it may have been everything that was left in that bag, but it was the fibre mix and the colour that got me. Now, I will tell you that this has worked out at £2.40 for 100 grams, which economically is absolutely stunning value for money. So my compliments to Sean at Kincraig on his pricing. It makes development knitting and coming up with something which is going to be a nice sort of long-term wear and share garment really quite pleasant. So I'm looking forward to that. And that only leaves one more piece of stash enhancement. A couple of weeks ago, you caught a flash, but you've not seen the whole thing yet. You know, if this was Panto season, that double entendre would be wonderful. Anyway, a couple of weeks ago, on Instagram, one of my indie dyer friends, Carola Cass, who is better known as Otherworldly Yarns, decided that she was going to do a sort of, I don't know how to describe it, seasons of the year, pagan festivals of the year yarn range. And the first one she decided to dye up was in bulk. And she advertised it, and it sounded such an interesting concept that I thought, I'm going to have to buy it. I've got to have one. I've used the Corriedale base, Corriedale and nylon sock base that she uses before, and I used that for the Magma Worm yarn that she had dyed up for the Dragon Scale sock pattern. And this is the Polworth and nylon yarn that she does, and here it is. So this is the first of 8. Now she's got 2 yarn clubs running. There's an 8 skein version and a 4 skein version. So 4 major, 4 minor festivals making up the 8, or 4 major festivals making up the 4. You can buy in at any point through the year, as far as I know. Her Etsy shop is www.etsy.com/UK/shop/otherworldly yarns, and that will have been appearing at the top of the screen, I'm going to say, while I'm doing this. And as I say, Carola is brilliant fun. She's really nice. She's one of the folk who's going to be joining us in Rhodes this year. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. And it's squishy, it's yarny, it's lovely. It's going to become a pair of socks. This is for no one else other than me. This is my sock treat to myself for spring, and I'm going to have a wonderful time with it. In bulk, by Otherworldly Yarns. And look at the lovely little progress keeper that came with it. Unfortunately, the progress keeper witchy spotted it and tried to snaffle it. I haven't parted with it just yet, but she's determined that she's going to try and lay hands on it. Carola says she's going to bring me a spare. She's lovely. So if Janet pinches that one, I might yet. You know something, that's so nice. I want to cast it on, but I've still got my Easy Knitter yarn socks on the go, and I need to finish that off before I move on to another pair of socks. This is just really nice. So in terms of stash enhancement, that's 3 nice batches of yarn and absolutely super fun. I am really looking forward to knitting with all of them. Since I recorded the works in progress, the centre panel for that shawl is complete, and I'm on to the last wing, so hopefully the initial prototype of Pentland Firth might get finished this week, and then be farmed out to test knitters and I'm going to reknit a second using this other yarn, and I'm hoping, well, my intention is to have this on and be wearing it when I get to EYF later in the year. So that's stash enhancement. Excuse me, I'm just going to score these things off my list of things I want to talk about as I'm passing through them. So we've done that, we've done whips, we've had the stash enhancement. What we're going to do now, finished objects. Now, finished objects is a combination of photographs and objects this time. Why is it a combination of photographs and objects? Well, some of it has been snaffled and taken off by other people. Some of it has been gifted and gone off with other people. Some of it has been acquired, and I say acquired, in other words, it's been snaffled and taken off and worn by someone else, and I can't find where they've put it. So there are 3 items left here. At Christmas, my son Alistair and his partner Louise handed me some yarn, and I thought, oh, what am I going to do with it? And I had an idea for a double knitting project, but there wasn't enough for the project I wanted. It would have been fun because it's chunky, it would have knitted up really fast, give me a nice simple project, but no luck. They also gave me some sort of rainbow variegated stuff. And the rainbow variegated stuff, I tried 1 or 2 things with it, and I thought, do you know something? I have got some plain colours that would go nicely behind it, and it might make a nice 2-colour brioche as it fades up through its colour range. So I thought, okay, this time of year, the snow was starting, it was horrid, I was looking for projects I could do in a night just to get a break from shawl knitting. Hats. So brioche beanies were in. So the first brioche beanie got knitted. I finished it, and the next day Sarah and Ian were in, Ali and Louise were in with Ruben and Leo, and Leo tried on the hat and he was laughing and he liked the colour and he was wearing the hat, and when they got ready to go home, his mummy said, put your hat on, and he said no, he wouldn't wear the woolly hat she had for him. And he pointed to the other one and said hat. So consequently the brioche beanie went on his head to let him go home in peace and quiet. And I popped in to see him the next day, and he still had it on. He'd worn it until bedtime, and when he got up the next morning and got back into the sitting room, he asked for the hat, but it was too big. It was hanging down over his eyes. So I went home, cast on another one straight away, and instantly knitted a second brioche beanie in his size. Took it up, delivered it, brought the other one home. So that was fine, absolutely fine. A photograph of Leo in his beanie while I've been up, while I've been chatting. He's delighted with it, he's worn it to the swings, he's had it out for a walk. Now, in chatting to Louise about the boys, we were chatting about them wearing a scarf, and Ruben wears his scarf and does what he's told. Leo doesn't want to behave, so I said, well, how about if I make a cowl to match the beanie but make it in a much smaller size than you would for an adult. We'll make a tiny little cowl. So we've made a little cowl for a 2-year-old. Again, 2-colour brioche. It's got an I-cord binding running up the seam where I joined it, just because I wanted something a wee bit different for the outside. It is incredibly stretchy. This mini cowl fits me. It pulls over my specs, tucks under my beat. In fact, let's just do it. It provides an incredibly snuggly neck warmer. It's like wearing a polo neck sweater. You can't see it under the beard. I'm crazy. But you know, that amount of flexibility is fine. It's stretchy that way, it's lovely and stretchy that way. If he desperately wants it to be reversible, there's 3 colours in the inside, a red, a blue and a purple. And you can see the other colours through it, but I think it really looks at its best that way out, because you can see everything from the purples and the greens, through the violets and the pinks, to the oranges and the yellows, and it's nice. And with the 3 backings behind it, the purple and the blue look very much of a muchness. It's hard to really tell that there's much of a difference between them. The red, I just had a wee bit of left red acrylic sitting after the Postman Pats, which you would have seen in the last episode. So this is going to Leo, and that will be him happy. Back to the chunky. So the chunky was this stuff, and I thought, well, if everybody else is having a beanie, I'm having one myself. So, out with the chunky. Quick, impromptu 2-colour brioche. It's 2 rows of tubular cast on and double knitting to start before the conversion into the 2-colour brioche. Simple 2-colour brioche. This takes about 1 hour and 10 minutes to knit. It's not a long one. I haven't written a pattern for it. It was just for me sitting in front of the TV, mindlessly having fun. The pattern that's on it is just a little simple single seed type loop. I think there's 3 or 4 different versions of a stitch like that in some of the Nancy Marchant books. And a three-way spiralling reduction up to the crown. As I say, doesn't take long to knit. Quite enjoyed it. Cosy, cheap and cheerful, keeps the cold out, keeps the wind out. In fact, I might just keep wearing it in here because it is a wee bit chilly today. So that was fine. In the midst of all this, we had another new arrival. Just between Christmas and New Year, Janet's nephew and his other half, Kevin and Megan, had a little girl, Grace. So Janet said, okay, newborn knitting time, let's get going. And since everybody else was getting a brioche beanie, look, I had some peach and I had some white. And I thought, oh well, seems a pity not to. It's only, again, it's about 1 hour's work. This is DK weight yarn. It is just white acrylic and peach acrylic. I can't even remember who the manufacturer was. It's just, again, tubular cast on, a couple of rows of double knitting just to establish an edge before you go into the brioche. Super stretchy, gonna be fine for a newborn. No bobble or anything, just nice pale pastel colours. A super fun little piece of knitting for an evening. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So that's those. The original rainbow coloured beanie came back, and it was sitting here. And one of my friends posted on Facebook that her daughter, who I've known since she was a baby, was going into hospital for a few weeks, but was going into hospital a couple of 100 miles south. So she's 18, she's going off to hospital, and she's going to be away from her mum and family and her friends for, as I say, a few weeks. And she was looking to put together a sort of happy memories jar or a cheer yourself up jar, something to have to take with her. And I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to send her a woolly hug. There's nothing better than having something that you might enjoy. Now, she is an amazing young artist, I have to say. In terms of portraiture, she has really amazing skills. I love her work, and when she's doing sort of still life type work, I think she's a stunning young artist. She's done, in the last little while, some paintings and drawings of food, and they're in the ultra realist category. They were absolutely astonishing. She did an ice cream cone last summer, and I could have sworn that I saw the raspberry sliding down the cone. It's just an absolutely lovely, stunning young artist. So to have her sixth form interrupted this way is unfortunate, and I wanted to send her something that would be cheery, and it being spring, so I thought she does a lot of colour work. She loves colour. I'm going to give her the other beanie. So I messaged her the other day and said, I've got a woolly hug for you to take with you, and gave her the beanie. She and her mum picked it up yesterday on their way south, and she seemed happy with it. So to my little buddy Cole, best of luck while you're away, and I'll see you when you get back. So that one has gone. So that was gifted. Now, this doesn't use up 200 grams of yarn. You're lucky if it uses up about 70 or 80. So I knitted two of them, didn't I? Couldn't quite decide on how much ease I wanted here. So I knitted one based on 40 pairs of stitches, and one based on 42 pairs of stitches. The one I'm wearing is the 42 pairs. The 40 pairs of stitches fits, but it's just a wee bit nippy around the ears. Unfortunately, it's the perfect size for Ian's head. So he came in the other day, he saw it, and he said, right, I'll have that, Granda. So he took it off and he was wearing it, and it could have gone anywhere. I don't know where it is. He may have worn it home, he may have left it lying in his bedroom. I haven't been to look in his bedroom, because under all the toys that he has out at the moment, it could be anywhere. And I wasn't quite in the mood for tidying up his bedroom, so it's getting warm now. Let's have that off again. So that's that. So finished objects has been good fun. Oh! Now, Beardychiel's beard. You can see that it's getting fairly bushy at the moment. It's longer than the hair, because the hair's been trimmed. Post Christmas and New Year, someone said to me, if you get the timing right, come next December when you're doing your special duties, helping out the man in the red suit, you could use your own beard. You wouldn't need another one. And I thought, and my wife made the same sarcastic comment. So I told her I'm not going to cut it until next Christmas. And we're going to see what happens to my beard with a year's worth of growth on it. Since then, she has already said, oh my God, you can't do that for a year. Because this is only a month or so's, this is like 2 months growth since the last shearing, and it's already getting on for sort of 2 or 3 inches long in places. So what I'll do is I will agree to some tonsorial elegance, and we'll have the sides, the shaggy bits at the sides, trimmed off a little, and we will shape it a little. Give me the sort of traditional long beard that goes along with the sign for Santa Claus and some in BSL. Santa and old man are almost the same. So that's fine, and I will be perfectly happy. My only concern is that by the time we get to the summer and I'm ready for the retreat in Rhodes at the end of May, it might be too warm to have a long beard, so it might have to be trimmed down for that and then grow the 6 months from June to November. We'll have to wait and see. I'll assess it closer to the time. In fact, having mentioned Rhodes, that's the perfect place to go next. Beardychiel's Rhodes Retreat 2018. Cut to short advert. Welcome to Beardychiel's Rhodes Retreat 2018. This event, happening in the last week of May, first week of June, will take place here at the Rhodian Sun Hotel. Take the opportunity to sit, knit and have fun around this lovely pool in wonderful sunshine. This video was taken in May this year. In May 2017, I should say. The welcome to this 3-star family-run hotel is superb. The food is absolutely wonderful and they will adapt to any dietary needs that their customers have. During the course of the week, there will of course be 2 classes for everyone, and the tutors for this retreat are Nathan Taylor, better known as the Sockmatician, who'll be working on double knitting, Ellie Langstrom, Skandir, who will be working on stranded colorwork, and Beardychiel, my good self, I'll be delivering classes in shawl design and in Tunisian crochet. There are piles of other activities and 2 outings arranged as part of your week. All of the pricing information is available at www.beardychiel.uk. Come and join us. Now, if I got that right, there should have been a short montage of photographs for the retreat have just appeared to remind folks what the place looks like. And I can tell you that plans for the retreat are going on apace. We've reached the stage now where we're coming up to the end of January. I said we would leave bookings open until the end of January. I spoke to the hotel briefly, spoke to Stavros, the hotelier, last week. And we're going to do some video conferencing this week to catch up with one another and start to fill in details. We are 120 days away, so it's just 4 months away now, which is frightening. We had another booking in just a couple of days ago from Helen. Pardon me, I've forgotten your surname, Helen, but if you're watching the podcast, welcome on board. We'll look forward to seeing you. And I am I've just been working on finalising the data collection forums for all the people who are travelling. Oh, little itchy bit in my ear. In case you're wondering, it's big and broad and doesn't actually fit, but it's good for, just rubbing the itchy bit. Anyway, still a couple of spaces left. If anyone is interested, get to the Beardychiel website. You'll find booking information and prices there. The prices there are based on 7 nights. If you decide you want to come and you're needing extra time, either a couple of days before, a couple of days after, to make flights fit as best you can, we will adjust the price based on just hotel cost for that additional day or 2 either way. And I'm going to get hopefully, I'm going to be asking everyone before the end of the month, just next week, to have a think about, have they booked flights? Are they needing additional time? When do they plan to arrive? When do they plan to depart? So that we can get the specific room allocations for folks sorted out at the hotel. It means that if anyone needs their final invoice amount adjusted before March, when we start to make final collections, then we can do that. And it also means that I can put out the forums for class choices. The times in the week for different classes will go up. Oh, that ear's itchy again. Heavens above. I don't know why it's itchy. It's not as if it's feeling waxy or anything. It's just some blather is chatting about me, probably taking my name in vain. Yeah, so any special class information will be getting sent out to folk to let them make a choice of which classes they want to go to at which sessions in the week. And I'm trying to think if there's any other information that's needing to go out for that. Oh yeah, and the other thing I'll start to collect from folk is any special dietary information which we might need to pass on to the hotel, or special medical information that we might need to pass on in terms of access. So all of that happening at the one time, so it's going to be a busy week or two for me, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm getting quite excited. My flights are booked. Janet and myself are travelling from Caithness. One of her friends from work, I think I'd said before, had said she would travel with us. Because she specifically fancied coming along and having a holiday. And I thought, well, okay, we can do that. It's company for Janet while I'm chatting to the other knitters or I'm involved in classes. Our friends Anne and Andrew, who we were in Sorrento with, are coming along as well. Anne wants to do some photography work. Andrew wants to read some books by the pool. Again, perfectly laudable and absolutely fine way to pass time. I've just realised my collar's standing up. Oh, what an ageing hipster look. All I need is a big medallion and a hairy chest that hasn't gone white. Just when I say medallions, I have visions of the late 1970s when the in medallion was either a silver or gold ingot worn by men with an open neck shirt. Oh, we thought we were the bee's knees. We thought we were so handsome, so distinguished, so dapper. What a shower of shifty looking gits we must have been. Anyway, that's another story. So yeah, all of that information coming out shortly to the Rhodes folk. If you want to be involved, feel free to get in touch. If you're not sure whether or not you can be involved and you think you would like to think about it, contact me anyway. Find out what late availability might be. Once I've spoken to Stavros in the next 10 days, I'll have a much clearer idea of whether or not we can stretch any later booking times for people, and I'll put that information up online as soon as I get it. So that's the Rhodes Retreat. Wasn't that relatively painless? Now, next thing I have on my list is EYF this year, because it's the next big event that's happening. It's in March and it's running for 3 days. I unfortunately am travelling on day one. Janet's holiday entitlement for the year is about to run out and she only had a day and a half left, so we're going to travel on the Thursday, arrive Thursday evening, have all day Friday, all day Saturday, and come home on the Sunday at some point. So we're looking forward to EYF. Our accommodation is booked. We're in exactly the same accommodation we were in last year, which is a nice 5-minute drive from the Corn Exchange, which suits me down to the ground. It's not a difficult drive. The folk at EYF have said that the parking at EYF for ordinary cars will be slightly more curtailed this year because of their new marquee setup attached to the Corn Exchange, but they've asked the council to create additional disabled parking bays at the front, so maybe another 30 or 40 parking bays through a temporary traffic order, which is absolutely super news. It's nice to know that provision like that is being made for the people who can't manage walking long distances or consistently long distances. Last year I was lucky. I found a parking space using my blue badge one day and not using it the next. on the Friday last year, I did have to wait in the queue to get in, which meant that my first wander round was curtailed. I didn't get all the way around the hall the first time, and I had to stop and go and have a seat. But that's okay, there's plenty of time. You know, if you go in and do 10-20 minutes browsing, you don't have to go fast at EYF. There's far too much happening, there's far too much to see. So I'm sure that'll be absolutely fine. So I'm looking forward to the Friday, which will be my first day. I'm not officially one of the EIF podcasters, but I'll be there as a podcaster who's a member of the public, and I will be having one whale of a time. I already have some of the YouTube subscribers who've said they'll meet me there. There are some folk from Rhodes who've said they'll meet up there as well. There are folk from the international virtual knit night community who've said they're all going to meet up there. So I'm going to have a wonderfully social time while there. I also get a chance hopefully to catch up with my mate Nathan Taylor. I've not seen Nathan for a blather since, well, we've blathered online. We've had some video conferencing time, but I haven't actually seen him in person since Perth last year. So that'll be fun. And there'll be other folk there to catch up with as well, who I probably won't have seen since last EYF. So that, I'm sure, is going to be an absolutely stunning 2 or 3 days. Some of the conversations online with people trying to plan their shopping in advance, I think, are absolutely fantastic. I know that I cannot plan my shopping in advance because the spur of the moment me always gets the better of the sensible me, and there's not much I can say or do about that. So that's that bit. The Pentland Firth shawl that I've been working on, I had originally intended to release the pattern round about the time that I head off to EYF. So I'll maybe try and arrange that it's released the week before, so that anyone who fancies it can have the pattern, know what kind of yarn they're looking for, and maybe find something at EYF. They might even cast it on at EYF. I don't know. Some people might want to do that. Some people may not want to do that. They might have other plans for their EYF time. But it seemed a sensible time of year to have something coming out. So that's that bit. Now I've got 3, pardon me, I've still got 4 or 5 things on this list. I mentioned at the beginning Beardychiel's eco dilemma. Now I've been chatting to a couple of friends about this over the last couple of weeks. I've been doing a lot of reading, a lot of sort of internet searching and reading of articles, reading bits of research information, and it came about because of the big items in the press in the UK about plastic straws, the plastic fills in things like cotton buds or Q-tips, as they're called overseas, and the fact that both have become, in Scotland, illegal. No more plastic straws, no more plastic cotton buds for sale. It's got to be biodegradable paper tubes that are used, which is wonderful. A really sensible thing. Paper straws, someone said to me the other day, oh, but they go soggy. And yeah, you can't mess around with them and twist them and things the way you did with plastic. But when I grew up, all straws were paper. They were all waxed paper straws and they worked perfectly well. The only thing they weren't so good at was poking a hole through a tin foil lid on a little bottle of milk in school. Now that dates me a little, and there's a lot of folk in the UK and possibly overseas as well who will remember that 1/3 of a pint of milk, which was a statutory obligation of local authorities in state schools in Britain from just after the war up until the mid-1970s, when a Conservative minister known as Margaret Thatcher took the provision away she reckoned that the country had become, or the young people in the country had become healthy enough that it was no longer necessary to promote good health and boost the calcium levels and things by giving kids whole milk every morning in school. So straws don't worry me. Cotton buds, they don't worry me. I don't use cotton buds very often. I'm not a great fan of sticking a lump of cotton wool in my ear and swirling it round. Hot water goes into my ears when I'm washing. It softens any wax that's there, and if that wax comes out, it comes out. The body excretes wax for a sensible purpose. If there's overproduction, you consult a take medical advice. Other than that, leave them to get on with it. So that's fine. So that's my Q-tip problem. But because of that, I was reading stuff on the breakdown of plastics within the environment. Some of the information that came out as part of the research in the news that week was more extreme than I had come across before, and I thought, I'm going to look at that and find out more and more about it. And I did start to read, and the more I read, the more I realised that the big bits of plastic, which they can sort of scoop and skim and collect, are at least things which can be chopped up into small pellets. Some of it can be recycled and used again. Some of it can be repurposed. I know that they're now using it as an alternative to some aggregates in road surfaces because it lasts for an incredibly long time in a road surface. It's much more durable, makes the road surface slightly more flexible so they don't break down quite so easily. Not so susceptible to frosts and things, and I thought, well, we're going to have roads for a long time to come, and if we can do that as a way of surfacing roads and it's price friendly and it's achievable, why not? That was fine. But the more I was reading about marine life and contamination of marine life and marine ecosystems, the more concerned I got, but not for the big bits of plastic. It was more the information on things like microbeads from the cosmetics industry. And then I started to come across information on the textiles industry. And they recycle textiles. They recycle and repurpose things like cotton, and they can do it with wool, and funnily enough they can do it with things like polyester. Polyester can be recycled and can be put back into polyester yarns and fibres again and rewoven, respun, rewoven, reused. And I thought that's quite good. But there are some others which cannot be repurposed quite so easily. Acrylic polymethyl methacrylate doesn't lend itself to that type of processing. Nylon polyamide doesn't lend itself to that sort of processing. Some of the viscose products, now viscose again derived in a couple of different ways, primarily from fossil fuels originally, but also potentially as a cellulose-based product taken from wood pulp and from bamboo. And these are things which we come across quite often. And again, the reprocessing of other natural products into fibres, like seaweed into sea cell and tencel, all of these products have their own inbuilt problems. And when they get chopped up and they start to recycle them, they produce what I've seen listed as grey fibre, which are small pieces which get through filtration systems, get into the general water table, get out through sewage systems into the open sea, and then become a contaminant for marine wildlife. And I started to think, I felt guilty. I personally felt guilty because of the synthetic yarn that I use at times. And with the best will in the world, I haven't managed to get rid of that feeling of guilt. I've tried to justify it in lots of different ways, saying it can be ripped out, it can be reused, you can do this with it, you can do that with it. But at the end of the day, when there are natural alternatives that I can source at a similar price, should I be using synthetics at all? And the bottom line, I think I'm going to eventually decide is no, I should be avoiding it. There are some places where a small amount is being used to help longevity of products. For example, adding polyamide or nylon to sock yarns to give them the strength that they need to work really, really well. That, I don't know if there's a way around that, or do we just have to get used to the fact that we're going to be darning socks? Do we need to look at things like sock construction for heels, the balls of the feet and the toes, to create a denser fabric that's not going to wear so easily? I don't know. I don't have a solution for it. I'm just one person whose social conscience has been tweaked, and I'm thinking, what in heaven's name should I be doing about this? Should I be doing anything? So it's there for you guys to think about and talk about amongst yourselves, and if you want to give me feedback, please do. I also looked at the carbon footprint of producing all of these products, and when I looked at the carbon footprint for producing these products, I realised that the ones which are naturally spun into fibres and have been for a long time, cotton, linen, wool, silk, have relatively low carbon footprints in terms of the carbon dioxide produced as a result of their production. Up to the point where they start to be processed. Right, so that's the natural growing part of it, and the picking, the harvesting. The processing from fleece or from cotton out of the field to spun fibre to a yarn or to a fabric is pretty much the same regardless of the material. There's almost no difference in that bit, except for hand knitting. Hand knitting as opposed to factory knitting, so manually powered knitting machines, hand knitting on needles the way most of us hobbyists do. Great. Almost zero carbon footprint apart from the methane you generate yourself when you break wind. And some electricity if you're sitting trying to knit in the dark. That's not bad. When I looked at the carbon footprint for the synthetic add-ons, the highest of all is nylon. Then below that was acrylic. And then the other plant fibres, so things that need to be converted from one form to another, so bamboo, sea cell, tencel, they come into the sort of the next band down, and the best of those I think is still more than twice what any of the natural fibres are. And I'm thinking, this is another can of worms for a completely different community as well. What do you do to make it achievable? And not every country in the world's going to have the same reaction. Not everybody's going to have the same social conscience. Some people, if they're subsistence farming, aren't going to give a tinker's curse about global warming or carbon footprint or recycling. They just want to survive. And I can understand that. But those of us who have slightly more disposable income, a slightly better living and working environment, those of us in first world countries maybe have a personal responsibility to each do a little more of what we can. In saying that, I don't have much in the way of synthetics left in my stash. I think I've got about 3 balls. And I'm going to try my hardest to say that once it's gone, I'm going to try and avoid buying more. Even when in the past I've said, for ease of washing, for the little ones, it makes sense to have some synthetics that are easy to throw in a washing machine. I think I'm going to have to bite my tongue and have the courage of my own blooming convictions and start to teach people how to wash clothes again by hand, if necessary. So that's Beardychiel's eco-dilemma. I don't know that I have a solution. I don't know that me doing what I think is my little bit will be enough. But I think it might help a little. And if it helps a little, it'll salve my conscience. It's just so hard. There's so much out there to read. And so many of the reports are contradictory based on which industry has commissioned them. Finding stuff that's really fairly independent and doesn't have commissioning funding behind it from someone with a vested interest is difficult. So anyone who's got information that's worth reading out there, please read it. I'll continue to make my researches. You guys go, read yours, do what you can, and hopefully we'll come up with solutions that might, in the long term, help us, might help the planet. And I'm wondering if we all said, right, we're going to be avoiding synthetic yarns, or synthetic content in yarns, is that going to suddenly start to promote things like the natural fibre yarn industries? Is that going to promote cotton, flax production? Is it going to promote the sort of not the keeping of beasts for meat, but the keeping of beasts for fleece? I don't know. It's just you start reading things, and instead of getting a solution, you end up with 1,000 more questions. Anyway, that was the pricking of my social conscience, and that's what's been rattling through through my brain while I've been knitting over the last wee while. So I'm going to let that go, and I'm going to move on. It's starting to get a bit duller outside, and the lights that I have on in here are starting to show a little more. It's now, what time is it? It's 3 minutes to 4 in the afternoon, so let's see if we can get this finished. Next one on my list is Perth Festival of Yarn 2018, which is the 8th and 9th of September at the Dewar Centre in Perth. And as always, I've been chatting to my buddy Eva Christie, which has been really quite interesting, and what she's had to say over the last couple of weeks is that the applications for vendors for 2018 opened. She's been getting emails coming in thick and fast from a range of vendors, some of whom have been before, some of whom have never been before, and it's all sounding incredibly exciting. She tells me that her work on setting up other bits of the festival is coming on apace. She's had her meetings with the venue that she normally has, so the planning for that bit's going nicely. Some of the website stuff we've already been working on together has gone swimmingly so far, which has been absolutely great, and I'm starting to get excited for this year. I think it's going to be super fun. The only thing that I need to figure out is how am I going to spread my spending budgets over the course of the year so that I have enough disposable income to cover Edinburgh, Rhodes and Perth, and anything else that comes up in between times that I might want to pop to. It's either a win in the national lottery or 5,000 people all deciding to buy a pattern. Then once the taxman's finished with his share, it might be achievable. The chances of that happening, well, you never know. So that's that bit. Now, something a wee bit unusual. Last Wednesday, when I popped into the Ravelry group to check and see what was happening, there was a message on the episode 24 thread from Pond. Now, Pom is a French knitting buddy who lives in Edinburgh, if I remember rightly, I think. And Pom said, I was admiring the colour work on your colour work waistcoat, and I noticed you're knitting it in the flat. I've only ever knitted colour work in the round. What do you do when you're knitting it in the flat? Well, when I learned to knit colour work, you always knitted it in the flat, because the only way of knitting it in the round was on, for whole garment size things, was on long DPNs, and you'd have maybe 5 or 6 DPNs going around the yoke of a sweater. I say 5 or 6 because in those days DPNs were sold in sets of 4, not 5 in the UK. In fact, they're still the same. You don't always get 5s, you get 4s, because you've got 3 on the work and 1 in your hand. And some people overseas started to complain that it was hard to divide up socks that way. It was easier to divide things in half if you had 4 needles on and 1 in your hand. So needle manufacturers in some places have started packing 5s. And it used to be you would buy 2 sets of needles to give you enough to get round the yoke of a sweater, because you would have 6. You'd have 5 in the yoke and 1 in your hand. And in those days, knitting things like Fair Isle sweaters, you knitted them in the flat. You knitted a front, a back and 2 sleeves, and you knitted up to the yoke, cast on the yoke, knitted the yoke to the neck, taking needles out as the stitch number of stitches decreased. So you would actually end up with just 3 long DPNs plus 1 in your hand by the time you got to the collar. And that was the way I first learned to knit them in the late 60s, early 70s. So I've thrown together a short tutorial for Pom on how I do this, and I'm going to stick it in here. If you want to watch it, watch it. If you want to skip past it, I was just sitting in this comfy armchair and threw together a sort of 10-minute stranded work sample for her to show how I do it and some of the things I look for to try and avoid getting holes appearing in my work. So Pom, in response to your request, the next few minutes is specifically for you and anyone else who's interested. The rest, skip past that and get to the end.
We'll do one more row just to tidy up and start on the right side. I have set this up on 25 stitches just to give us a nice even spacing. And what I'm going to do is, because I know that I want my red working yarn along at the beginning of the row, I'm going to move it. Now you can see where it has been sitting in the centre of the work here, and to make it possible for it to be where I want it to be, I'm going to shift it. So when I reach this stitch, I'm just going to bring it up and I'm going to create like a vertical float. I'm just going to carry it in at the back there. So I've brought it up, nice and simple. I'm going to drop it again straight away, no tension. 3 stitches, 4 stitches, doesn't really matter. I wouldn't go more than 3 or 4, and I'm going to pick it up again. Same thing, no tension, knit it in, drop it back down out the way, and continue to the end of the row. And this is me at the edge of the colour work section, so again just 3 stitches. I'm just going to lift it up and drop it purely and simply. I'm just going to lift it up. I'm not even going to drop it back there because that's roughly where I'm going to start working with it. I'll put the edge on. Now, does that create any problems for me? Yes. Now look. You see the colour bars that are showing there? Now those colour bars are showing because there's no tension in the yarn behind at the moment. And the minute you start to put that tension in, the colour bars reduce in size. They become less noticeable. So let's just tighten that up a little, and those colour bars effectively vanish. Right? They're not as noticeable. So if you need to move the yarn in the flat, you can do that. So let's make a start. Just as you would when you're working in the round, we're going to start. Nothing in the edge. Now I know that I've got 19 stitches to play with here, so I'm going to divide that by 3. What does that give us? Well, it doesn't. So I'm going to want 1 there, which leaves us 18, which is 9 and 9. So I know that I want 4 and 1, 4 and 1 to get what I want. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to have 1 stitch. Then I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 stitch, and I should have 4 to take me to the edge. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that will leave me quite happily on my little border. Now let's come back the other way. We're going to turn the work. Make sure I've got plenty of yarn to play with, and I'm going to work my way back. So my little three stitch border, which is just a little broken rib border, and then I'm going to have 1, 2, 3. Now I had 1 stitch before, so this time I'm going to have 3 stitches. Now if I go in here and create 3 stitches, I'm going to get a gap, and I know that, so I'm going to make a point of looping behind that particular yarn, and that's going to create a first mini float. So I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, and then I can change yarns again. So I can drop it back down. 1, just a 2 there, and then a 3. 1, 2, just purling. And same again. 1, 2, 3, and then I can purl to the edge. 1, 2, 3. So you can see that I already have my 1s and my 3s established. So I'm quite happy with that. I can move on with my next row. You can see that the wool's starting to twist, but I can make sure it's untwisted. Nothing difficult there. Now again, I'm expanding out the way, so rather than going straight into knitting this one and risk having a gap there, I'm going to bring it up behind the beige for that first stitch, and I'm going to knit 2, and then I'm going to put a beige stitch in the centre, 1, I'm going to get 2 again, and look what's happening here, they're joining together. So I'm going to get another 2, a beige in the centre, another 2, I've got another 2, a beige in the centre, and another 2, and then a couple just to take me to the edge. And you can see that my 3 diamonds have effectively joined together there. That's absolutely fine. This doesn't have to be complex, so in the next row we are going to reduce. I don't often throw in tutorial bits like this into the podcast because that's not what the podcast's here for. But Pom I've known for a little while now, and she has asked very few technique questions, so there you go. The things that I'm watching for is where the transition, if it's stranded colour work as intarsia, where the transition from one colour to another happens at the outside edge, and where that happens I always make sure that I have an extra twist or an extra extremely short 1 stitch float included, just to let me make sure that I don't have, and I've deliberately left one without that 1 stitch float, and I've done it here. And when you look at the right side of that one, you can see exactly where that hole is. I didn't use my 1 stitch float technique there, and that stitch gets the chance to pull itself in towards the second stitch, unless you're going to mess around with it. So the natural tension and tendency is for that leg to want to pull in, and there is a gap back there which twisting those 2 strands together, just that single crossover, would flatten out for you. And the same could be said for that outer edge there, where tension on that changeover float could be a little better, having come from the row below. So it would have been good to bring that strand up here when I knitted that stitch and then knit along. You run the risk of possibly showing a tiny flash of red in behind that, but if the tension's good, you're not going to see it. But that type of hole and that type of hole are possible if you're not careful about how you're carrying work up from the back in the sort of stranded intarsia type work. I hope that answers your question, Pom. Feel free to stick questions into the podcast, into the Beardychiel Ravelry page if you do have queries about things. If it's something I can answer quickly in just a minute or two like this, I'm quite happy to do it, especially if you're someone I know well. You might just get an email saying, try this. But there you go. Especially for Pom, I hope that solves your problem. Back to me.
Welcome back, but I hope, Pom, that satisfied you. There's only 2 bits left. One bit, podcast watching. What have I been watching recently myself? And the Santa's giveaway results. Let's do the podcast watching first. So over the last couple of weeks, I've watched some Sock Petition, I've watched some Bakery Bears, Helen Duffin's Sprite 966, I've watched podcasts from Helen, Little Bee podcast by Kirsty Bissett, I've watched one of those. I've watched some stuff on fibre processing. I've watched some stuff on flax to linen. I've watched some stuff on cotton, field to fibre. I've watched some stuff on hand processing fleece. Podcasts which I noticed popping in. I quite like watching the Yarn Hoarder podcast from time to time, and I noticed a pop in there on one of my subscriptions. I noticed that there's some stuff in from Ellie Langstrom, Skandia, which I need to catch up with. I know that Carola Cass has just put up her second podcast, which I think is called Midweek Knit and Natter. I need to watch that. And there was another one which I watched for the first time. Dunkelgrun. I watched my first couple of Dunkelgrun podcasts and found them quite fascinating. Young Swiss indie dyer and knitter. Nice, worth a watch. If you're watching anything, a little search for Dunkelgrun, Industrial Chemist Who Knits. The one I really enjoyed was the one where she explained the superwash, the chemical superwash process. It's absolutely fascinating. So that was that. As always, watching podcasts is brilliant fun. I very seldom watch one and get bored. I do like to dip in from time to time to different ones. What else have I been watching, dipping in recently? I did a little bit of catch up on Colour and Life, which is Jennifer and John Michael from Colorado. That's a mother and son combination, which is a little bit different. So yeah, I did do that. So Santa's giveaway is the last bit in this episode of the podcast. There were multiple prizes, if you remember. So I have the 6 winners in front of me, thanks to random.org for helping to generate the numbers. So, as I work my way down them, the first one to come out was post number 5, Loops of Love JM, who is Jan, who is in Opelika in Alabama. So Jan, congratulations. You have won the Digilpin yarn and pattern. and if you PM me, I will get in touch with you and arrange to put that in the post to you. Second on the list, I almost fell off my seat. This has got to be the luckiest knitter I know in the last 3 or 4 months. Post number 2 from Aileen Dickey Adams, Little Bush Baby. She's getting Die Ninja's Ninja Pop. So Aileen, you did it again. Now you have a choice. I can either post it to you or I'll give it to you when I see you in Edinburgh. Whichever you fancy, just let me know. The next one was post number 13, which was Barbara Robson. Now Barbara is from Edinburgh in Scotland, and she's won the Caledonia Dye Works Minis. So well done to you, Barbara. The next one, post number, where are we? Post number 15, I think, is the next one. And that's Kaz63, who's in Yeovil, here in the UK. And I couldn't find a name attached to that one. So Kaz, you've won the Janet Anderson Christmas stocking patterns. The next one after that is post number 14, and that's Zottle Rock, which, again, there was no name in Ravelry, but they're in Beardychiel in Germany. So Zottle Rock, congratulations, you've won the Fair City Knits Tammy pattern. And that takes us to the last one, which was post number 6, which goes to Rosa Ray, who is in Dunedin in Otago in New Zealand. So again, couldn't find a name on that one. And you have won a copy of Beardychiel's Comet Shawl. So a copy of the Comet Shawl pattern will be gifted to you on Ravelry, and I hope you thoroughly enjoy it. Well done to all of you. It's been great fun watching the posts for this one coming in, seeing what people's favourite knitting project of the year was in 2017. There are some absolutely hilarious posts there and some stunning pieces of knitting. It was a pleasure to look through them, and it was even more of a pleasure to say it's going to have to be a random number generator because I liked all of them. Were there any of the winners that really stood out to me? Nothing really, no. And they were all much of a, you know, I like all of those, so they've all done really, really well. So those are the winners. The Tulip and the Rose Cal jogs on. There's only 1 or 2 people knitting it at the moment. That's absolutely fine. They might just both get a prize. If more people want to join in, feel free. I'd be delighted to have you. Now, that brings me to the end of this particular podcast. It's probably going to be quite a long one because of the blathering I've done, because of the little tutorial and the works in progress. Thank you all for having the patience to sit through it and join me. I've enjoyed spending time with you as always. I thoroughly enjoyed putting my podcast together. It's really, really good fun to make. It's a nice way to spend some time. It's nice to get someone else to talk to. I know it's strange. I'm sitting in front of a camera, but it feels like another person. And it's nice when you guys provide feedback. Really, really nice. Now, the subscribers on YouTube are currently sitting at the 930 mark, and I am absolutely astonished that the number is so high. Thank you all so much for sticking with me. I would love to make that landmark of getting to 1,000. So if you've got the time and you want to encourage your friends to sign up, please do. I'm just number hungry, and I'm thinking to achieve 1,000 for me would be absolutely incredible. I never expected to get much beyond the 200 or 300 mark. Sitting at 930 something at the moment, I think is amazing. So I've got to say, I have to try and get to the 1,000. I've got to try and do it. It's got to be worth it. So, from me, here in Caithness, until I see you again in 2 or 3 weeks' time, this is Beardychiel saying, keep happy, keep healthy, keep knitting. Cheerio.